Yeah, yeah, great. So I'm also recording.
Shall I start?
Okay, selling.
I've started it. So. Three,
How,
three.
how are you doing?
Good.
Wow, it's interesting. So my name is Deborah Oshimi, and I've got with me here Celine. Hello, Celine is one of our latest doctors, Dr. Celine. All right, so we welcome you to the inquiry. So this is um, more like an expression of um, life transformation inquiry platform where we talked about life issues. The whole essence is to have conversations that leads into asking the right questions. Because if you ask the right questions, you are likely to have the right answers. Most of the issues people have is not that they're not asking questions. It's just that they are potentially asking the wrong questions. So here, um, this is just a platform for us to have candid conversations. Sometimes it might be difficult, but these are just conversations that I believe that we need to have at some point. And so this is our maiden edition. Um, as a matter of fact, at some point I felt I should do this again. Honestly, we are starting late, so that also can tell you struggle with technology and all that. But hey, we're here and we are making a start. So today I'm excited because we're going to be talking about something that I found it interesting and I thought you also will find it interesting. It's something that um, no one is excluded. It's something that I won't say we all struggle with, but we can relate to. And that is the conversation around emotions. Selling. So we're going to be looking at, just like I said earlier on, it's about asking questions. So the inquiry is about making an inquiry, asking the right questions. And so today we're thinking, should you trust what you are feeling? Should you trust your feeling? Um, Feeling is part of our emotions, no doubt. Potentially a significant part of the emotion. And if we want to look at the definition of emotions, do you want us to start from there, or you want to add something, Sally?
Let's start by defining what emotions mean, and then we can kick it off from there.
Okay, so let's make a start. What do you think is the definition of emotion? And I think, yeah, that's a good way to start. What's emotion?
Um, I think, simply put, it is just human responses to certain situations,
Hmm.
basically.
Hmm.
Um, that reflect our experience and how we interpret them.
Lovely. You see, the first question is, should we trust our emotions or our feelings? And I think emotions are human responses that reflect how we experience us or interpret situations. Um, Now, emotions, they don't just come out of the blues. Emotion rides on thoughts. Emotions at a biological level are just combinations of what do you call it?
Neurochemicals.
Neuro. I wanted to say enzymes.
I know.
No, so they are just combinations of And you see, it's interesting that most people, the predicament they find themselves today is just about how they have managed their emotion. And that's why the concept of emotional intelligence is quite an important one today. Um, and emotional intelligence is how you manage other people's emotion
including
and
yours.
how you also manage your own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So emotions, like we have said, they are they are simply how we feel about what we experience. All right. And what you experience is something that does not have a vehicle, it doesn't become tangible except it's a process on the platform of your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You understand now. So for me, I believe that our mind is very important when we talk about our emotions. Because I mean, I'm sure you must have had situations where by thinking about certain things, you just begin to
You
exhibit
feel
certain
certain way,
emotions.
yeah.
You it's either you feel very angry, it's either you feel joy, it's either you feel elated, it's either you feel sad, it's either you feel, so what I'm saying is emotions are simply the output of certain internal workings and dynamics. But unfortunately, that is what we see anyway. That is a proof that we see at the end of the day. That is what other people say. That is what you feel, right? But the question now is just as we said, should we trust our emotions? Should we trust how we feel?
Personally, I would say no
Why?
because I see emotions as data.
Data.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it should be seen as data, it should be seen as information and not necessarily a reality or a verdict as to how we go about making decisions that affect our lives. So it is just information that you can further use to objectively make decisions around situations, thoughts, people, and all of that.
So why is emotion? Why does it sound very real then? You know what I'm saying? So if it's just data, if it's something that just gives us an indication into what what is happening, a data. You're a PhD. You just had a PhD recently, and so when you talk about data, that in itself is a different. It's an interesting thing because data has no value until it is analyzed.
Absolutely.
Not just analyzed. Even when you analyze it, you have to interpret
Make
it.
sense of it, yeah.
You know, and when you interpret it, it still doesn't make sense. At that point, you have to reflect on it.
Yeah.
So it means that you analyze, you analyze, you extract the information, then you reflect on it. Sometimes you do triangulation and what have you, reflexivity. That's when you're going
Multiple
over,
sources,
yeah, over the
bounce
process.
it off people as
Yeah,
well.
good. That is when you. But why is it that we don't treat emotions this way? And when we feel a certain way, is real. And so we go to the market, we go to the bank with how we feel. We say certain things with how we feel. In fact, we approach God and tell God how we feel sometimes. We engage God, we engage people by the way of how we feel. And you are saying that we should not trust these emotions. Emotions are real. So we should treat it as data. How do we then analyze emotion? How do we
I think the best way to do that is actually to step away from them. Like you have to be, and that's the difference between um, being emotional, per time and being emotionally aware. Like you have to be sensitive. You have to understand that you're having an emotional experience or an emotional reaction
See,
to certain
I want us
situations.
to be a little practical about
Okay.
this because I mean it just looks like we're just talking theory here. And the interesting both of us seems to be, within the academic space. So it's going to look like we understand our language, but the
Okay.
people viewing us may not necessarily have understanding of what we're saying. So why would you say we've established two or three premises now? One, we said emotions mostly are feelings.
Hmm.
Number two, we said emotions are combinations of chemicals, enzymes, biologically.
Hmm.
We said three rather, emotions does not have a lifespan of their own. They trend on our thoughts, what we think. So the thought gives them more like a route for them to a place of expression.
Hmm.
All right. And now, first, the fourth thing you are saying is that, or we said, is that we need to not trust our emotion, but to use them as data.
Hmm.
Now, these things sounds interesting, okay, but it looks like we really don't have case studies to prove it. There are people who today are feeling pains.
Hmm.
There are people today who possibly lost someone, and the feeling is real. There are people who have been to different situations. Say, for instance, somebody who has been served breakfast several times, right? And then is now in another relationship, and then begin to see traits of those previous relationships, and then he begin to feel somehow the anger and all that, is popping up, and then you are saying that you don't trust the emotion. So how should we deal with this?
So, like I said earlier, the first step is to become aware. I think that's where transformation, which is the well, not the end point, but the essence of this platform or what we're this conversation, this extrapolation that we're doing here. That's what it's for. So the first step is to actually become emotionally aware.
Okay.
You have to first be aware. Some people don't even know the types of emotions that exist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some people just think it's the basic, like I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm joyful. There's
Anxiety,
a range of
excitement,
emotions.
compassion,
There
anger, fear.
there are, there's a spectrum. In fact, even fear has a spectrum. Every
But one thing, sorry for cutting you short. One thing I found out about all these emotions is that they have feelings.
okay.
So you feel it. You may not be able to touch it, but the feelings that
So
are real.
feeling a thing
Okay.
is distinct from being aware of it.
Yes.
That is where examination, assessment, all of that comes into play.
Mm.
I might be feeling angry. I might not be conscious of my anger. Like I'm reacting already. Most times when people feel stuff, they're already in the action. They're already reacting. That emotion is already making decisions for them. That emotion is already influencing their action, the perpetual train of thoughts, everything, basically, decisions that they carry out in that moment. So they're not, I wouldn't say in that context that they're aware. They're just having an experience. They're feeling stuff. They're not aware of the feeling. And that's the first step is awareness. Awareness requires a level of separation from the feeling. So feelings are overwhelming, they're consuming, right?
Yeah.
Because they're within your body. So
Yeah.
they kind of take charge of you.
Yeah.
If you're able to sense or be aware of that feeling, it means that there's a level of gap. There is distance between yourself and the feeling. It means even if you're still kind of acting in accordance to it, you are mindful. That mindfulness is the space between yourself and the emotion. And that mindfulness is the segue into critical examination of that emotion. And then you deciding objectively what you do with it or what you do after it. So you
Okay.
need to be aware. Like, I'm angry, I'm angry now, I've been triggered, someone triggered me. The first thing to do is not to act based off the anger. So the first thing you do is you feel it.
Yeah, you acknowledge
Feeling
that
it
feeling.
exactly, then become aware of it. Like the feeling, you don't have to. The feeling, you
I
don't have
think,
to acknowledge the feeling. No, the moment you're triggered, you're feeling already. You're in the feeling the moment you're triggered.
yeah, but you need to be
Awareness.
aware of, yeah,
So awareness is after feeling.
yeah.
Do you get what? You can feel something and still allow it to consume you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So awareness is the step.
Yeah, I'm
Is
going
the
to do
extra
something
step.
about this. I'm
Exactly.
not going to
No,
allow.
no. So that's another step.
Hmm.
That's
Yes,
another step. So the first step is actually feeling it, which is what every normal person would do because it's the chemicals have been secreted into your body. So it's there, you're feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
No control over that.
Mm-hmm.
Now awareness is now the pause, the gap. I'm feeling angry. I felt that anger already. Now it's something like naming the emotion. I might be feeling angry at the moment and I'm just acting out. I've not registered that it's anger. To me, it's just a form of response to whatever the person had done to me or whatever that situation or event is triggering within me. Now, pausing and be like, Celine, I'm angry. Like you're actually very angry at this person. Or in the case of fear, anxiety, you pause and be like, Celine, you are anxious. You're feeling anxious about this situation. It's very different from just feeling it and allowing it to take charge. Now, moving forward, after the awareness, that's when you then decide, what am I going to do with this emotion? That's where it is either data
I
or.
mean, the way you are saying it as if it doesn't come this easy.
That is
Because all these steps that you just mentioned, there are things that could happen in a split of second.
exactly.
You know, so
That's
and you're
why
making it
awareness.
look like it's something that is going to take place over 3 years or 1 week. You'll feel it, you'll remember, you did. You know, this is not data
So we've not even
analysis.
talked about time frame. We've not talked about patterns. We've not talked about anything. We're just analyzing how what to do with emotions to start with, right? Awareness is something that is developed over time. It's like a
Let's go away from our question. And the
okay.
question is, when we started this, should we trust our emotions? Should we trust how we feel? You know, and
I think
I
we've gone past that. We've established that it is not trustworthy.
I want to be. I agree
So
with
are
you
you looking at the why?
to yeah. So why would we say that we should not trust it? Because sometimes, and I'm speaking from a bit of I mean, from a biblical or spiritual perspective. Now, there are certain things that you just feel a certain way. You just know certain things. It's just like they call it possibly gut feelings.
Okay.
And you just think that I think that's the word. I sense this is what God is saying. I feel I should do something right now. I think something. So these are emotions as well.
Convictions are different from emotions.
Hmm.
That's the two different things. The spiritual knowledge is not an emotion. Yeah, it's two different things
So
entirely.
that's exactly what I wanted us to clarify. You know, so spiritual nudgings, and this is very important. Thank you for that. Because I was going there so that we can be very clear that spiritual nudgings, in as much as there are things that you cannot lay your hands on, and they also feel like emotions. are not emotions, they are convictions. And they are a lot deeper than emotion. I think that's something that we need to, yeah, be aware of. All right. So based on that, um, there are things about. Uh, have you ever felt somewhere somehow before, and your feeling took you to places you really don't want to be? Took you to a wrong place. And as an example.
Absolutely. I think everyone has had that experience.
Hmm.
Like, so you're saying, have I acted based off emotion?
Yeah.
Of course.
And what's the outcome?
I can't lie. It's been bad, it's been good.
Hmm.
Yeah. There are times when um, you act based off, that's why it's data.
Hmm.
So there are times when actually you need to act based on the data. There are times when you need to objectively analyze before acting.
And I think one thing that's important that we need to talk about is we said a few things in terms of what emotions are and how they come into play. And I think one other thing that is important we clarify is emotions informing or emotions governing as a governance. So at what point um, do you allow emotions to move from being a data to becoming a dictator, someone that governs and directs what you do?
For me, I think once a decision is involved, of
Mm,
course, everything. That means every action is preceded by decision making, right?
mm,
But I mean, for me, once a consequential decision, a decision that will impact on myself, impacts on the people around me, impacts on certain situations. Once that is involved, I believe that I believe that emotion should remain data,
mm.
should be treated as data as long as it is consequential. It should be treated as data, just information. If it is just something that you just need to express, like joy, for instance, that's an emotion,
Yeah.
a positive emotion, and you're joyful in the moment. You can act based off that joy. But then when you have to make decisions that are consequential based off that feeling is where there is a problem. So if I were to, I'm feeling joyful right now. For instance, someone proposes to me, and then
Oh,
someone
who
proposes.
is this man? Is he real?
Probably, yeah. So
Is he real? Who is this person?
no.
Is this someone I know?
You might know the person,
I'm-
but you might.
You should know if
You
I
just
know
might. You
this.
just might. But so, someone's proposing to me, and probably he buys me like a Maybach, for instance.
Is
And
that an example of real life?
it sounds like something that should be real, yeah? Yeah, I'm bringing it into existence. But yeah, he gets me back.
Okay.
And in the process,
Okay.
in that moment of joy and excitement, I'm so elated.
Okay.
He pops a ring and he's like, be my wife, be my future. I'm joyful, I'm excited, I feel loved, I feel everything in that moment, everything
Okay.
positive in that moment. It's okay to express my joy, to jump, to whatever, to scream, and do whatever. Expression, fine.
Mm-hmm.
That still takes decision because you have to decide to express.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, naturally, because it's a feeling, it's a good feeling, but yeah, you still have to decide. But that decision to express the joy has little or no consequence, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, another decision that could be prompted by virtue of that whole situation is my answer. Whether I say yes or no to his proposal, that is consequential.
Yeah.
that impacts
Yeah,
on his life and my life.
but your excitement might influence whether you want to say yes.
So it's not even the influence, is to say like when it should be governing, like when you can give it free reins, like when you can allow your emotions to just do its thing, and when it should only be information. Now, these are that same situation, but two different sub-contexts. Context where I'm just expressing the feeling, which I still have to decide to express. The other context is now making a decision based off that feeling. The second, the latter, is where my feeling in that moment, which is joy, should remain an information until I'm able to objectively analyze that feeling, that situation, and then make a decision separate from the emotion.
I mean, what you're saying now is a potentially a positive, I mean, context or use case. But what about in situations where people, I mean, just think about, and I've found myself in this situation also before, you just think about such certain things. And as you're thinking, those emotions begin to precipitate. All right. So, say for instance,
As I'm
I just
thinking about whether to say yes or no.
no. You're just
Let's
thinking.
use that
I'm using
context. Okay.
whether to say yes or no,
Mhm.
and let's use that context. Is to say yes or no, and then you remember similar situations in the past where you probably said yes to someone, and then they served you breakfast, and then the feeling of anxiety, anger propped up, and then you begin to think that, oh, this guy is just going to do that again.
So there are two different feelings now in the same context.
Yeah.
So now what you're doing now, you're taking us to a new dimension, which is the superimposition of emotions. That's what's happening. There was joy. Now joy is superimposed by anxiety from an old wound from history.
Okay.
Do you want us to go there? Because that's another. That's a different kind. So in that situation, I'd like to think that might be a good thing.
How?
The fact that you could remember that the last time you were too quick to say yes to a man you were still probably examining or learning, it did not end well. That's a good thing. That means you're aware. Yeah. That means you're aware, because there's certain people that based off the joy, based off the grand gesture, they will say yes. They'll be like, after all, the last person that broke my heart did not get me a Maybach. Did not you get so do you know what I mean? So they could just act based on that, because that situation on its own it's a lot. So they could just take it based off that. So this is maybe the feeling comes, but then they're so overwhelmed by the current feeling that it just doesn't hold any space in that whole situation. Do you understand? So there is that the current emotion might counter the other one.
Yeah.
And then it could be that I feel like anyone who then objectively steps back is aware and has come to a place where consciously or subconsciously they see their emotions as information. Because if in that moment I remember that the last person eventually broke my heart, and that makes me step back and say, I love you, but can I get some time to think about this? I passed the test.
Okay, so
I'm aware. Now I'm aware.
So how two questions I've got for you. How do we then build emotional discernment rather than emotional suppression?
So in this case, you're saying you're not suppressing emotions.
Yeah.
Which is that's a stepping back from the emotions. You're not suppressing it. You allow it do its thing. Allow it breathe for You're not suppressing. You allow it breathe, but you also do not allow it govern you or rule you or make decisions for you in that situation, right? So your question is, how do we?
Yeah, how do you ensure that these emotions, you discern it, you're not suppressing it, but then you're not allowing it also to govern you.
First, awareness. If you've come to a place where you're not aware that every time I feel something, I feel a change in chemistry in my body. There's an emotion going on, especially related to the situation on ground. So when you get to that place, every time, because if you have not come to that, it's a muscle that you have to strengthen over time to become aware. Like to be someone who every time there is an emotional trigger, you don't act.
Okay, so
You name the emotion, you identify the emotion.
I want to put you on the spot now.
Okay.
Would you consider yourself emotional?
that's that's a question. Yes.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I would say I am very emotionally aware.
So how did you build that? How did you get to the point where you become emotionally aware?
Huh. I think experiences. I've had
Emotional is it emotional awareness now? More emotional awareness.
emotional awareness.
Is it by age? Because I'm expecting that you should still be struggling with certain
No,
emotions.
it's not by age. It's not by age. It's just by knowledge base.
Mhm.
So I've seen young, like kids or children that are actually more emotionally aware than adults. That's because they've been trained. Like they probably have parents that sit them down and be like, when they're having emotional tantrums and sit them down, make them name the
Yes,
emotion they're
emotions.
experiencing and then walk them through the emotions. And you find that what their parents are doing, they're subconsciously building a muscle that over time, when they feel a certain way on their own, even in the absence of their parents, you see them sit and be like, or even if they come to a caregiver, a preferred caregiver, or someone who they feel safe with to share the emotion, they come with knowledge already. You see them come say, "Mommy, I'm feeling sad."
Mm.
How many adults actually name their emotions? People just act. Like you just see people act. They don't say like you don't hear people say, "Right now, I'm actually feeling sad." And this is what I want to do, or this is what you don't hear people say that. They just act based on the sadness.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you get what I
yeah.
mean? You don't see that. Or like I'm angry or I'm feeling anxious.
Mm.
I'm like fearful of the situation and where support is needed, they seek help and be like, I'm sad in this moment. I feel anxious. Can you hold my hands? Can you say something
I mean,
to me?
I agree with you, but I just feel that a lot of people, trust is also a bit of an issue because they've trusted people,
Safety.
yeah, to give them a safety nest,
Hmm.
and they've been disappointed
That's
a
a
lot
good
of time.
place where emotion should
So
be information.
yeah, but then you just said now that people are trained to manage their emotion. It's because they find someone trustworthy to
Exactly.
name their emotion and go to help them. But today, I think that is becoming something that people don't do. Even when you probably want to support and you say, "How do you feel?" Because I mean, there's a question I usually ask, and I ask it genuinely. When I ask people, "How are you?" I don't expect you to just tell me, I'm fine, I'm okay. And I ask it intentionally to say, "How are you doing? How are you today?" You know, for me, is an avenue for you to be able to name some of those emotions. Even if I can't do anything about it, I can talk about it. I could, like you said, make you become aware of those emotions and then begin to let you know if you are crossing that threshold of information to governance and how to begin to. But today, it takes certain level of trust. before people are able to
Open.
open up, name their emotion, and trust you to even help them identify or navigate those emotions.
Rightly so, if you think. Rightly so, because I don't want you to take me from frying pan to fire. Like, very few people
Hmm.
these days are emotionally intelligent. And I don't know that. If we're good friends, but I've never had to sit with you through an emotion, I have no evidence
Hmm.
of your emotional awareness or intelligence. I don't know that about you yet. So the first time you come to me and say, "How are you doing?" I would not take you down. I would not take you into my heart space. Because I don't know. I have no knowledge.
I
You
understand.
understand? So now that is an opportunity for you to then prove yourself. There's so many things you have done it with
Okay.
me before. You've done it with me. I remember I was in a place. This was before my Viva, and different things happening that week. I was so, oh my god, I was not really well. And I think you asked me, you called me. I don't even know why you called me that. Because I also feel like you have this telepathy with people that you care about. I don't know. Well, you called me that evening. We were talking generally, and you're like, you don't sound well. I'm like, oh, I'm good. And like, I don't think you're good. I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then I'm like, oh, I'm great. And then you're like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I checked it today earlier. How are you feeling?
Maybe.
I said 9, I think. I didn't say 10. I know I didn't say 10. I had maybe 9, 8.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? I was like, yeah. And you're like, okay. And then something happened in the conversation that eventually just I just feel the beans. So that's the thing is, and I guess what that thing I know that thing that happened was that somehow you took me down the path of vulnerability. You said
Yeah.
something that then just made me comfortable in the
Mm.
conversation, and then I was like, automatically, I just said, just let it out.
Yeah.
I just said it, and then you came back for me and like, well, I just asked you, you said it, and nothing was said. You know, so that's the thing. So you didn't know that, but you prove yourself, and moving forward, if you do accept, I don't want to be. So there's another like it could another day I could tell you that I'm a 9, even when I'm a 2,
So yeah.
because not because now I'm not safe around you,
But you
because I don't
just
want to bother
you
you.
want to manage it yourself.
Exactly. I don't want to bother you. And I know you're still pro because you want to be a part of that experience. But from that point onward, you've become a safe space for me because I've tested and tried you.
Hmm.
So I feel like when people don't open up initially, I don't feel people should take it personal. I think people should see it as especially if you, as a person, know that you have good intentions for this person,
Hmm.
you might want to push a bit. You don't know what their experiences before you was. Maybe they've opened up to someone before and
Yeah.
they've
And
abused that
then
access, or like maybe somehow they've kind of shared their story to another person, or like it might not have ended well with that.
so I think we are getting to a comfortable place to end this session today. And I felt that it's been an interesting, potentially eye-opening session. We've been asking the question: should we, trust our emotions, how we feel? We tend to have come to a conclusion that, I mean, trust in that context is a very strong word.
Mm.
Our emotions should not be trusted. Our emotions should be analyzed. Um, extract data from it. Allow it to be an information,
Mm.
and then you can now use that information for whatever you think you need to use it for. In that way, it's no longer governing you. We also have said that emotions come in different ways. A presentation about all of them is feelings, whether it is happiness, joy, sadness, anxiety, whatever it is something that is abstract. You don't get to see it, but then you can feel it. Um, and so when you feel these emotions, you can be tempted to just follow through. I mean, whatever is directing you to do for the moment, which could, not turn out well. So we have said that emotion should not be trusted, but we should use it as data to inform us. One more thing that came to my mind before we go. I mean, that's something you also said that I found very instructive is the conversations around emotions and convictions.
Mm-hmm.
When we say, oh no, I feel, I sense,
Mm-hmm.
and so in that way, people begin to feel that God is speaking to them based on
So,
on their emotions.
so in that case, I think emotions can be a channel.
Yeah.
Emotions can be a channel.
Well, one thing, let me just say something. One thing I mean, if I'm not projecting my experience, but one way I found God, uh, he dealt with me in the past, is that there's a level of, and I don't want to call it emotions, there's a level of restlessness that I sense whenever God wants to pass an information across to me.
Would you call that emotion?
Important.
Would you call that? You said restlessness. Would you call that an emotion?
It's a level, it's not an emotion. I mean, I just feel this restlessness. I feel, I feel something is missing out. There's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of, you see, that situation at the end of the day brings me to a place of how do I put it now? A place where I just want to be calm. I want to be alone. I want to be, even if I might have been doing that for 1 week or there, but I just feel something. I just feel there's something. It's a feeling. I
Exactly.
feel
Maybe we
there's
should. What are emotions? Like,
emotions are feelings though. I don't
yeah.
know.
Or you could. Are you telling me that every feeling is an emotion?
Okay, there we go.
Exactly.
So
That's the. I think it's not. I don't. I mean, you don't. Wait. Where's your phone?
so
Check the meaning, the direct meaning of. Because we need. Because that's even. This is a good place to. Because I don't think so.
okay.
I think you can feel things. It's like the way I could feel pain from a wound, a physical wound. That's not an emotion, is
Mm,
it? It's
mm,
not. It's a feeling.
mm.
So emotions are feelings because you feel emotions, but not every feeling is an emotion.
You're right. Not every feeling is an emotion, although emotions
Oh,
often
see,
produce
you need
feelings.
to see. I cut that.
Lovely. So, not every feelings are emotions, but emotions produce feelings. All
Exactly.
right? Emotions are deeper psychological and physiological responses.
Mm-hmm.
So, emotions are responses, feelings are the conscious experience or awareness of those responses. I get it now. You understand? So you've got emotions are psychological, they are physiological, they are responses, but feelings are your awareness of those responses. So you may feel nervous before speaking in the public. Underlying emotions could be fear or anxiety. That's the way you feel nervous. You may feel warm and relaxed, safe around someone. Underlying emotions could be love, trust, and peace. Right. So this is interesting. So every emotion can create feelings, but not every feeling
It's an
is an
emotion.
emotion. I
So
think this is
emotions are more psychological.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we now said that should we trust our what do you want the question? Should we trust our feeling?
Our feelings to be trusted. No. So the answer is
So it's not every feeling is an emotion. So it means that sometimes you should trust your feeling. So long the feeling is not emotion.
no. That's off. No. So the question here is not even, it's not the disparity between feelings and emotions. The question is, should you trust as in allow it lead you?
Okay.
That's what the trust there refers to. So should we allow our emotions lead us? No. It is an absolute no. I think the first step is people have to come to a place where they are emotionally aware of their own emotions and people's emotions. And that's where emotional intelligence is built. Because that's what I think I've seen that a lot where people argue about intent and impact. They say, okay, I want it to, this is what I want it to do. But have you considered how it's going to be received by another person? Now, an emotionally intelligent person will consider what emotion their actions would elicit from another person. So it's not affecting them that in the moment. They're not the one having the emotional experience. But the person that they're acting towards, how do they feel about this thing? What emotion does it evoke within the other person? So I feel like that's what emotional intelligence. So if you're aware not just of your emotions, but about other people's emotions, you will know that emotions should never actually lead you. It should just be information. You can actually do, you can feel love, you can feel anger, but you are aware that all of these things are patterns. They're built from,
Mm.
especially when emotions have come to a point where you're now like on overdrive. You're acting based. It comes across like a knee-jerk reaction whenever you feel an emotion. They're hardwired patterns from our history, from assumptions, our beliefs, old wounds, unmet needs in our formative years, all of that. So I think you have to be aware, like sit and self-observe enough to know like what your proclivities are in terms of like your emotions and how you express your emotions. And when you get to that place of awareness, only take emotions as information, as data. Whenever you feel a certain way, always pause, sit back, separate yourself, like remove yourself, try. Like you said, these things happen really fast, but you actually can. When you've built that muscle of awareness, you find that it's actually easier for you to step back from your emotions whenever you feel it. And you find that in that moment, it's like a dazzling mirage. It's like an illusion. It's like an exaggerated reality that you're in that moment. So when you can actually sit back, separate yourself, and objectively decide, I'm feeling angry right now. Is this anger proportionate to the situation I'm experiencing, or an offshoot of previous experiences or previous similar experiences? Or I feel so in love right now. Am I supposed to take the Maybach and the ring, or am I supposed to just take the Maybach and tell it to hold? You know, is it love? Is it, am I just overwhelmed by love in the moment, or am I trying to fill a space or a void that I've been running away from within me? And then when you sit back for that moment, you actually see if there was a void, you see the void.
So what does, and this is the final topic, okay? So let's describe a persona of someone who is mastered their emotions and is able to ensure that emotions are just information and not, don't govern them. What are the characteristics of these people? How do they look like?
I don't think it's my looks. I don't think you can actually make the assessment, or you can ascertain that by how they look.
Okay.
It's not in the. You have to get to a place where they have an emotional experience, and then observe them, and you can tell, right? But how they would typically react to start with is, first of all, you see that they're aware. I feel like if you take out emotional awareness from this conversation, it becomes vacuous, because that's the first step. You can't address something you don't identify in the first place. How do I say I want to manage my joy in this moment and not decide based on it? Or how do I manage my anger in this moment when I don't even identify I'm feeling anger? I just feel like I'm feeling something like this punch in my heart or something, but I don't know what it is. right? So you come first and foremost, you see that they're aware. When they're feeling stuff, you can tell that they know what's going on within them. Like they're sensitive to their body, to their mind, to themselves. That's one, awareness. Two, they don't make decisions based off these emotions. For instance, they would actually prefer to clarify. If you make a statement that feels like a jab, they'll ask clarifying questions. They don't just be like, okay, I say that, oh, you have um, oh, where did you get that? Where did you get those glasses? Of course, that the person's countenance and then the way, or if it's a compliment.
Yeah.
Now, either an emotionally intelligent person or emotionally aware person and someone who is not, they both can tell the difference. They know that this is what had just happened. This person is probably mocking me. But an emotionally intelligent person will clarify.
Yeah.
They won't just ask this, or really,
But
do you think your glasses are cuter than mine? Or do you think your glasses look more expensive than mine? What do you mean? Are you trying to talk down on
they
me?
don't
They
assume.
won't just act. Their first line of action is not
Assumption.
assumption and, would I say, like retaliation, or like
Okay.
any form of, they're not expressing any emotion. They're
Okay.
not allowing any emotion to actually
Dominates.
dominate that situation. They clarify. They'll be like, "Oh, was that a compliment? Or did you like?
And
Do
I
you like the
think,
glasses? Do you get?" And then if you proceed to say,
and I mean, just to as we begin to come to the end of this conversation, I believe that people who are really mature, the people who are able to tame their emotion and ensure that the emotions, um, they master the governing structure of their emotion, such that it doesn't allow. And you see these things happening all over the place. It happens in marriages. It happens between, in offices, manager, uh, what is called now, employee, employer dynamics, um, student, lecturer dynamics, and they're just you see it everywhere. So it's important that we begin to be aware of our emotions. I know these things happen, you know, a split of seconds, the emotion building up, you responding, the governance and all that. But I think part of this conversation that we're having is something we believe that would create that awareness to just say, next time you feel the way you are feeling, I mean, don't just go to the market with your emotions. Stop, examine it, check whether it's an information, identify what information that emotion is giving to you, and then you are able to act based on that information, not necessarily that emotion. And I think if we are all able to manage our emotions, this world will be a better place. There are certain things you will not even bother yourself about. It gives you ability to be able to choose your battles, conserve your energy, gives you ability to understand other people, understand yourself. Um,
I
you
still
know,
feel like when we talk about information, I feel like not every emotion should be acted on. When
yeah.
we talk about information, some information that you get from people's behavior that triggers certain emotions within you
Mhm.
should be taken and acted upon. Not with the person towards the person. I mean going forward. So for instance, if I notice that I'm around someone who probably makes light of my emotions, like maybe when I'm in an emotion situation, they make light of it, or that's when they want to make jokes, or um I don't know, maybe they just have certain behaviors that don't sit well with me. I don't have to respond to it, but I'll take the information. So I'm going to act on it, but not towards them. So, for instance, when I notice a person is that way, what I then do is decide whether I want them to be in my inner circle
You know.
or not. So
Yeah.
it can be, because I feel like it's not just about managing some people also need sometimes. That's why I say I actually believe it's both ways. I feel there are times when you allow it govern you, but governance in this sense is not just allow it just act based off the fact that you're feeling an emotion. You're still deciding, but you're letting that emotion be information upon which you get to decide to act a certain way or respond to a situation in a certain way. For instance, that kind of person that always like maybe makes light of sensitive situations. But every time they do that, I could actually say stuff. And what I'm saying is based off my emotion. If I didn't feel a certain way based off what they've said, I wouldn't know, like I won't sense that what they've said was probably sarcastic or was disrespectful.
Mm.
But that information, that emotion has become information that's told me that, hey, sometimes it's like the danger button, or like just telling you, hey, so someone's doing something wrong they shouldn't be doing to you. This person does not respect you, and it's a good time to actually let them out of your circle. So I think in that situation, if it's an information in the sense that it actually then allows you to address the person. One of the days I could just say, I don't like that I've observed that you have a pattern of making light of emotional situations, because some people have to be addressed, some people have to be spoken to. And you don't have to go about shouting or go about making a fuss. Communicate clearly and let it go. So in that case, you have allowed emotion govern you, but it's like co-governance.
Yeah. Okay, I
Do
understand.
you understand? It's you guys are working together. You decided, but based off the emotion. You're still within the
Yeah,
driver's
but
seat.
you're still in control.
Yeah.
And I think that is what transformation is about, honestly. There's a difference between processing emotions and performing one. Um, Transformation doesn't mean that you should stop having a feeling, but it just means that when you have this feeling, you're able to deal with it in a more productive um,
Give us a step
way.
back,
Yeah, so you step
examine
back and then
them.
you don't allow how you feel to because you see potentially 90% of the way we feel they're not true at the end of it. Well, when I mean true is that I know the way you are doing your face.
Exactly, because I'm like,
So when I say true is that there are feelings, yes, we feel that way. It's pain, either whatever it is. But they are they fly away, over time. And you just feel that maybe it's just me trying to be quite objective in the way we make decisions, such that you don't allow those emotions. And I'm just opposing this by the word of God again in terms of the scripture now. All right. Your feelings are not always the truth. The scripture provides the valid truth.
I think it's a better way to coin that. I feel like they're real.
I'm not saying they're not real.
They're real, they're true, but they're not.
What's truth?
What is truth?
Yeah, let's not go there. I know you're a PhD student. Then I will not start arguing. But let's just leave
So
that.
when you say they're not real, so it's not. There's a better way to. Because I understand what you're trying to say. So just so that it's not taken out of context, they're real, they're true. They're not just. They're real, they're true. They're not just. We're not just supposed to allow them to decide our actions.
Okay. 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 Let's leave it at that.
Do you understand?
Yeah. They are real, they are true.
But they should just not be in control.
I agree with you. But if I take another posture, I will disagree. But let's leave it. Because what is truth? Is the definition of truth now that we're going to talk about later. Maybe we should talk about that next week.
I think what's the next? But it's a good segue
to
get into the next topic, which is
how do you feel the way you feel, right?
Why do you feel the way you feel?
The way you feel?
And I've got gems. I've got gems.
Okay, so why you feel the way you feel.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you've picked one or two things. The idea is just to ensure that as we live progressively, we are becoming aware of our environments, aware of our thoughts, aware of our emotions, aware of our feelings, and ensuring that these feelings and these emotions um, they should not govern us. They should just be information um, that we can process and then takes us into how we decide and what we do, with these emotions. These emotions are not meant to have the last word. And this in itself, I mean, in my opinion, is the definition of maturity. If you are able to manage your emotions, understand your emotions, don't allow it to govern you, then you are maturing. And that's why maturity is not about age. It's about those people who are able to name those emotions and manage them. All right. So thank you so much. We see you again next week on Sunday. Bye. Bye bye.
You keep cutting me. I was going to say, you'll be